Welcome to Wisdom and Wealth, a channel dedicated to helping you navigate the complexities of life with clarity and purpose. Are you looking for a deeper understanding of yourself and the world around you? Do you sometimes feel like you were born in the wrong life? If so, you're not alone. In this video series, we'll explore this common feeling through the lens of Buddhist philosophy, offering insights and practices to help you find peace and contentment right where you are. If that sounds interesting to you, please like or subscribe to the Buddhist Doctrine channel, so we know what interests you. Have you ever been going about your day, perhaps quietly working or simply relaxing, when a strange thought popped into your head, soft, yet piercing? A thought that whispered, "This doesn't feel like my life." It wasn't a shout, it didn't trigger panic, but it lingered, like a shadow just behind you, creating a sense of unease. Many people, particularly those of us who've reached a certain age, find themselves looking around at their job, their home, their daily routine, and feeling a sense of disconnect. It's as if you were meant to be living a different life, perhaps as someone else, in some other place. This feeling, while unsettling, is surprisingly common. It often visits us even when things appear perfectly fine on the surface. We may have a good job, a comfortable home, and a loving family, yet deep inside, something just doesn't quite match. It's like wearing clothes that fit your body but don't resonate with your soul. You may be asking, why do I feel this way, and what can I do about it? We'll delve into these questions, drawing upon the wisdom of Buddhism to offer guidance and perspective. Understanding these issues can be difficult and nuanced. So make sure you like or subscribe to the Buddhist Doctrine channel to help us get our content out there. Psychology offers several explanations for this feeling. Carl Rogers, for example, spoke about the gap between who we are and who we think we should be. This gap, he argued, can be a source of quiet but persistent pain. We are constantly bombarded with images of other people's lives, on social media, in movies, in books, and we can't help but wonder why our own lives don't measure up. We carry around idealized versions of who we were supposed to become, and when reality falls short of that story, we experience discomfort. It's as if we're constantly comparing ourselves to an unattainable ideal. This process can be extremely detrimental to your happiness and mental state. This pain can sometimes stem from past wounds. Lingering memories, unmet expectations, moments where we were made to feel inadequate. These experiences can leave deep scars. A childhood experience where you were made to feel small, or a critical voice that told you, "You'll never be enough," can sink deep into your subconscious and shape the way you see the world. Over time, these stories can become the lens through which we interpret everything that happens to us. If this is something you are wrestling with, consider subscribing to Buddhist Doctrine channel, to learn more and grow with us on this journey. Buddhism, however, invites us to go even further than simply healing the wound. It encourages us to question the hand that keeps touching it. What if the self you think is missing was never truly real in the first place? What if it's just a habit of thought, a collection of memories, labels, and aspirations? In the Samyutta Nikaya, the Buddha spoke of a familiar thought that many of us harbor: "This is mine, this I am, this is myself." But he cautioned that clinging to this view is the very root of suffering. This belief in a solid, lasting self is called Sakkaya, or identity view. It's the feeling that there is a real me trapped in the wrong life. If you believe there's a perfect version of yourself out there, everything you are now can start to feel like a mistake. You are in a constant comparison to the unreal you. The challenge becomes, who told you that version was more real than this one? The person who is here, breathing, wondering, hurting, and hoping is no less real simply because they don't match the dream. Consider your current state as simply a milestone along your life's journey. Kierkegaard once said that our deepest fear is not death, but the fear of not becoming ourselves. While this may sound profound, the Buddha would likely ask, what self are you trying to become? Are you chasing a phantom? Are you holding on to a picture so tightly that you've stopped seeing what's right in front of you? Perhaps the life isn't broken, perhaps the story you're telling yourself is. Even when you begin to understand that the story was never solid, another question may quietly arise. If the story isn't real, why does life still hurt? If the self is just a bundle of thoughts, why does the pain feel so deep, so personal? Even when you stop chasing the dream of a different life, suffering can still persist. And if you want to hear more about this important topic, make sure to like or subscribe to the Buddhist Doctrine channel. Some people feel like they were born into the wrong life. Others feel like life is punishing them for something they can't even remember. Have you ever felt this way? You try to live kindly, make good choices, care for others, and do your best, yet the pain keeps surfacing. It's not always dramatic, sometimes it's just a quiet ache in the background, a silent question that refuses to leave. If karma is real, why does life still hurt? This question often stems from confusion and a deep need to understand. You might wonder if you committed some transgression in a past life or if life is administering punishment for something you don't even know. It's natural to seek answers when faced with suffering. Seeking answers is part of the human condition, and the key to finding truth. However, Buddhism teaches that karma is not a system of rewards and punishments controlled by some external force. Karma simply means intention, what you choose, what you think, and what you do with awareness. The Buddha said, "It is volition, monks, that I call karma." Karma is not about blame, it's about direction. It's about cause and effect. With this in mind, you can take a proactive approach in changing your life and building the karma you seek. Even when you live with good intentions, suffering can still find you because life is not solely determined by karma. Life is a tapestry woven from many threads: your past actions, your present choices, your body, your family, your society, your environment, and even the era in which you were born. Some seeds you planted yourself, while others were planted long before you arrived. If this sounds interesting, subscribe to Buddhist Doctrine channel to grow and learn more. In the Majjhima Nikaya, the Buddha explained that karma ripens in its own time. Some seeds sprout quickly, others grow slowly, and some may not manifest until long after this life is over. Therefore, when pain arises, it doesn't always mean you caused it. Sometimes you are simply standing in the rain, living within circumstances you didn't choose. Some burdens were waiting for you the moment you took your first breath. A great example is if your parents or grandparents endured severe hardship, they would inevitably pass on that history. Life carries echoes of old choices, old histories, and old sorrows that reverberate through families, cultures, and generations. Sometimes, the pain you feel is not solely your own, it's the weight of what has been passed down. Carrying that weight can feel isolating, as if no one else could understand the nature of your suffering. Do you feel weighed down by suffering? But the truth is, this quiet ache resonates in many hearts. Somewhere, someone else is grappling with the same question, wrestling with the same rain. You are not alone in this ocean of causes and conditions, you are part of a much larger story. This life is not a punishment, it's a moment, a small wave within a vast ocean of causes and conditions that flow across lifetimes, generations, and all living beings. Do you feel as if there is a deeper sense of interconnectedness with others? When you begin to see this, a subtle shift occurs. You stop asking, "Why me?" and begin asking, "What now?" The question transforms from guilt to curiosity, from blame to presence. This is where freedom begins to emerge. Karma is not a prison, it's a mirror, reflecting your patterns, habits, and ways of navigating the world. It invites you to view your life not as something to escape, but as something to understand. Subscribe to the Buddhist Doctrine channel, and let's find the key together. Understanding karma doesn't mean becoming passive, it means seeing clearly where your true power of choice lies. Awareness is what gives karma its new direction. It allows you to choose again, not in the past, not in some distant future, but right now. That is more than enough. You are not a mistake, nor are you the final consequence of some hidden punishment. You are a human being shaped by both visible and invisible forces, but you are also something much more. You are the one who can choose again. And sometimes, amidst a life that feels heavy, that simple truth is the beginning of peace. When you begin to understand karma as choice rather than punishment, another ache may quietly surface. It's not the loud ache that asks, "Why is my life like this?" but the softer one that whispers, "I should have had another life." Does any of this relate to how you are feeling? Perhaps you envision a life where you were someone else, living in a different city, pursuing a different career, or embodying a different version of yourself that somehow feels more authentic. It's not always a painful feeling. Sometimes it lingers like a quiet regret, a silent yearning for something you think you missed. Buddhism refers to this thirst as tanha, or craving. To continue your journey with us, make sure to like or subscribe to the Buddhist Doctrine channel. This isn't just craving for food or money, it's a deeper hunger for another life, a life that appears more beautiful, more meaningful, and more fitting. The Buddha identified 3 types of craving that subtly shape our experience. The first is kamata, the craving for pleasure, the desire for a sweeter life filled with more joy and adventure. You see other people's stories unfold on screens and in conversations, and suddenly your own life feels diminished. The second type is bhavata, the craving for being, the quiet thought that whispers, "I should have been someone else." You might imagine yourself as an artist, a healer, or a traveler, feeling as though you missed your true calling, experiencing a sense of sadness. However, it's still a form of craving because it perpetuates the belief that something essential is missing right now. Be mindful that what you see is others putting their best foot forward, and not usually what's happening in reality. The third type is vibhavata, the craving for non-being, which whispers, "I wish I could disappear." It doesn't always manifest as despair, sometimes it feels like numbness, a quiet desire to escape not just the life, but yourself. It's important to be aware of this type of feeling in yourself, and those close to you. The Buddha said, "The world is led on by craving, it is dragged about." These cravings shape not only what we desire, but also what we believe we've lost. Here's the challenging part: the life you think you missed never truly existed, it was constructed in your mind, a beautiful story, perhaps, but ultimately a story, like a dream that fades when you see it clearly. Sartre once said, "We are condemned to be free." As humans, we have the freedom to imagine countless lives, and sometimes we suffer because we believe the ones we imagined were the ones we were supposed to live. But those pictures were never solid, they were born from craving, comparison, and old voices that dictated how life should look. This is not just a mistake of thought, it's part of dukkha, the unsatisfactory nature of clinging to things that are imagined, changing, or impossible to hold. The mind creates stories, and when life refuses to follow those stories, the mind suffers. What if the pain of feeling like you missed your life is not a sign that you were born into the wrong one? What if it's a gentle invitation to wake up, not to a new life, but to the one you already have? You don't need to destroy your dreams, you just need to see them clearly. This is just the beginning. Subscribe to the Buddhist Doctrine channel to learn even more. See how the mind constructs imaginary lives, and gently see through them. They aren't inherently bad, they simply aren't solid. When you stop chasing what was never truly there, something soft begins to return, your breath, your body, this moment. Perhaps even in this ordinary life, the one you thought you didn't want, something sacred begins to quietly open. When you begin to see that the life you thought you missed never truly existed, something softly yields. The craving loosens its grip, but that doesn't mean the feeling disappears forever. Sometimes, even after all the stories begin to dissolve, the old thought returns, "This isn't my life." It comes at unexpected moments, not in crisis, but in quiet, while sipping tea, waiting for the bus, or gazing out the window at the morning light. Suddenly, almost habitually, the old thought surfaces, "I was supposed to be somewhere else." But something has changed. This time, you're not running from it, you're not trying to silence it, you're simply watching, gently, curiously. Buddhism doesn't ask you to push this feeling away, it invites you to stay with it, not because suffering is beautiful, but because it can point to something deeper. In the Samyutta Nikaya, the Buddha said, "Where there is suffering, there is a path. Is it a path to peace? Subscribe to the Buddhist Doctrine channel, and you'll never miss our videos. The ache itself, the restlessness, the quiet sadness, is not your enemy, it can be a doorway. Most people try to escape this ache by changing their life, moving to new places, or pursuing new dreams. Sometimes these changes help, but sometimes the same ache returns anyway, different house, same restlessness, different partner, same longing. That's because the ache often resides not in the life itself, but in the way we perceive it. This is where sati, or mindfulness, becomes more than just a practice, it becomes the way we truly encounter life. In the Satipatthana Sutta, the Buddha said, contemplate feelings simply as feelings. Contemplate mind simply as mind. You don't need to believe the thought, I should have had a different life. You don't need to fight it, you simply watch it pass, like a cloud drifting across the sky. When you look gently, you might find something beneath the thought. Perhaps it's not really about another life, maybe it's just a quiet wish to feel peace, to feel whole, to feel at home. Zhuangzi once asked, am I a man dreaming I'm a butterfly, or a butterfly dreaming I'm a man? Perhaps life itself is a kind of dream, not because it's false, but because we live so deeply within the stories we create. Maybe awakening isn't about escaping the dream, it's about realizing we're dreaming and learning to open our eyes right here, in the life we already have. This doesn't mean you should stay in harm's way or remain silent in the face of injustice. Buddhism never asks you to endure unnecessary pain. But when suffering arises from craving, from the belief that life was supposed to look a certain way, the answer isn't always to change the external world. Do you feel that you already possess peace? Sometimes, the answer is to see it more clearly. You don't need a perfect life, you need a mind that can see without clinging. That kind of seeing doesn't erase pain, but it stops adding to it. It allows you to sit with what is, without the burden of what was supposed to be. In that simple presence, something precious may begin to appear. Not a loud victory, not a dramatic transformation, just a quiet trust, a gentle homecoming. So when the next wave of restlessness arrives, as it inevitably will, you don't need to fight it or fix it. Just notice it, breathe with it, sit beside it like an old friend. To better understand what you need, subscribe to the Buddhist Doctrine channel today. Ask it softly, what are you trying to show me? Then simply listen, not with your thoughts, but with your attention. Sometimes, the life you thought you didn't want, the life you tried to escape, was simply waiting for you to arrive. Perhaps peace was never in another life, maybe peace is in this one, seen clearly, lived fully, with nothing left to chase. You don't need to become someone else, you don't need to find another life. You just need to come home, to this breath, this moment, this ordinary life. And perhaps, this was home all along. Thank you for joining us on Wisdom and Wealth. We hope this video has provided you with some valuable insights.